twist and brine and tales untold, where canvas breathes and colors flow. Welcome to Painting Boo. Tobias perch upon the dong, it must be rung. For chibi charged and songs be sung. No timid brush, no timid crew. We paint like thunder splitting through. He's defender who half divine, born of ink and turpentine. Samurai heart with Irish grin, lets the living ether in. He doesn't plan, just do don't try. He squints one eye, charge a chi, one fearless stroke, the sky turns blue, and dragons hatch from painting buck, 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 cock, midnight laid a fortune egg. Open up inside, it says, trust the flow, don't overthink. Follow the ether of ink. Let spirit guide the punchy while Boris grinds ink with teeth. Strike like a tiger, swift and true, just like Garlos would do. Step to the mic, he sets the tone with Mazzo's crisp meatball calzone. Italian gravy, grape drink too, broadcasting live. Microphone is here with you. From Japanese clan, he leads the way with honor. Sharp as katana spray through stormy doubt and ego stew. He paints the life inside of you. So raise your brush like battle axe. Let go of fear and pigment cracks. Let out a riot from cosmic dew and roar it loud. Painting God!
Such beautiful music, brought to you by our very own petrified primate, Myro the Magical Monkey. And if you mortar swiner have any honor, you will pay the monkey so he doesn't go hungry. Greetings, my beloved Japanita, and welcome to another glorious episode of Painting Goo. I have just seen in the Telegram chat for Painting Goo. Very sad news. Very sad news. Scouse Sparrow's mother has traveled to the far beyond. We shall have a moment of silence for the matriarch of the drummer. My deepest condolences, brother. Sad news indeed. A moment, Japanites, whilst I send him a message. Did you start early? Only a moment. I think I engaged the stream at 1 minute to 5, I believe. So, a moment early. A moment early. Oh, sumimasen. Right. I'm sorry to hear that, Scout. Losing a parent is not easy, especially when you love them. I often, like, not often, but every so often, once now and again, I think of what it's going to be like when my father passes, considering the current state of our relationship. God only knows. Wish I was there to give you a hug, brother. It sucks. Brother Desmondu, Brother Ironman Baru, Brother Stabaru. Let us engage the fro of the goo. How many Wodensdog songs am I playing? I already put the other two in. There's fucking 3 of them. You're a fucker for doing like remixes. Right. Wodensdog.
It's hump day, niggers! What mistake, so make it count! Count raises to...
One of them's still up there. One of the other ones is still there. Or at least it was when I checked, like, literally 2 seconds ago. One of the other ones is still up there. Yeah. The original Wodensdog is still there. Not that it matters. Like, I'm just taking the piss out of you because you're one for remixes. Right. Let's start this again. This sounds like it's going to be hilarious. It's hump day, niggas.
It's hump day, niggers!
Oh my god, it's hot.
Make it count!
Oh.
Count raises to the moon!
That's like calf raises to the moon.
One mistake, so make it count. Exercise the calf muscles until you get that extra inch. Some cheap black market Chinese steroids never hurt anyone, right? The gym rats cheer, the mirrors distort. A man gains 1 millimeter and suddenly thinks he's a Viking lord. The Japanites get it, poor Koji. He never knew what was coming. Ah, well, it's hump day! Raise them up, raise them high. Tiny calves reaching for the sky. One more rep, one more set. Maximum effort and zero regret. It's hump day! Hump day. Bonus day! Calf raises to the moon. Calf raises to the moon. Calf raises to the moon. The spiteful peanuts will grow in the summer sun without defenders' knowledge. Hidden amongst the newly planted koji orchard. Nobody noticed, nobody
That's not really gonna work, is it? Now, like, now I know. I'm listening to the song. Now I know they're there.
Botanical sabotage, a peanut revolution hidden beneath.
And I saw the comic book strip.
Dear foreigner, your consciousness lives on in a Gundam. You may just be a ghost in the machine, but you're our ghost in the machine. Digital echoes, mechanical dreams, a spectral legend, suffering in the broadband stream. Ghost in the machine. Ghost in the machine. Upload the soul.
Oh god, it's warm.
Somewhere inside the Gundam brain.
I'm actually gonna open the window. I know you guys might hear the traffic and shit outside, but it's like between the sunburn and how hot it is. This is ridiculous. It's like a sauna in here.
Nothing some Beijing poppers can't fix. Hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, wait. I got frog butt too.
Oh Jesus. Oh, it's fucking well. I'm already drenched in sweat. Like 12 minutes in. It's only 2 versions.
Everybody do it. It's hump day,
Oh
niggas.
god.
One mistake, so make it count. The calves may be small, but the dreams are enormous. Calf raises to the moon.
I'm sorry, you're gonna hear the occasional truck passing. But I need some air in here. It's way too fucking warm. And when I say occasional, it's probably going to be extremely frequent. You're wearing a kimono, for God's sake. Don't die. I'm not even wearing the proper one. Like, this is nothing. I'm just wearing a t-shirt and this, you know? It's fucking 26 degrees Celsius and there's no airflow in this room. Sweltering hot. I may as well be in a mild sauna right now. And like, don't get me wrong, I kind of like it, but like, I would be way more comfortable if I was just sitting here topless, like sweating. But I'm on the internet. I actually don't give a fuck. It's other people who would care. Do you know what I mean? But like, whatever. Half of them be like, you know, put a top on. And like the other half would be like, are you trying to thirst trap? I'm half tempted to take my shit off just to show you how badly burnt my back is right now. Oh my god. I got burnt literally all the way down to like the top section of my ass.
It's hump day, nigga! calf muscles until you get that extra inch. Some cheap black market Chinese steroids never hurt anyone, right? The gym rats cheer, the mirrors distort, a man gains 1 millimeter and suddenly thinks he's a Viking lord. The Japanites get it. Poor Koji, he never knew what was coming. Ah well, it's hump day. Raise 'em up, raise 'em high.
I like the way you only killed Koji. Wasn't there 2 of them? You only downloaded the Black Lads thing into the Gundam and then killed him and buried him. Where's the other guy?
It's hump day. Hump day. Bonus day. Cow raises to the moon. Cow raises to the moon. Cow raises to the moon.
Sounds like he's saying cow.
The spiteful peanuts will grow in the summer.
Ain't nobody got eye for that. You're just jealous because I'm sexier.
Koji orchard. Nobody noticed. Nobody asked. The peanuts plotted quietly behind every apple tree. Agricultural espionage, botanical sabotage. Peanut revolution hidden beneath the camouflage. Don't worry, dear foreigner. Your consciousness lives on in a Gundam. 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 You may just be a ghost in the machine, but you're a ghost in the machine. Digital echoes, mechanical dreams, a spectral legend suffering in the broadband stream. Ghost in the machine. Ghost in the machine. Upload the soul. Increase the gain. Somewhere inside the Gundam brain. It's Wednesday, bitches. Get out there and crush! Who cares if you got ping legs? The upper body compensates.
No, it doesn't.
Some Bayesian
If anything, the upper body makes it even worse.
Wait a minute.
You're disproportionate.
I got frog.
You look like a Canadian triangle. You literally look like a maple leaf. All leaf, tiny stem.
Squats and cow raises to the moon. Squats and cow raises to the moon. Squats and cow
Iron Man Bear, how's married life?
pin legs. Frog bust. Questionable supplements. Bad luck. Koji Orchard. Spiteful peanuts. Ghost in the machine. Everybody do it! It's hump day, niggas.
I can't lie, part of me was tempted to comment on Wobbly Bear's post and be like, this one better last.
Enormous. Cow raises.
Anyone notice that you haven't seen Hometown Bear around anywhere? Am I cruel?
It's hump day, niggas! Wednesday, so make it count.
Right. We didn't have Techno Tuesday, so I'm going to do Techno Tuesday today. Oh my god, I am sweating. Fuck. This t-shirt's already a different shade. I can feel it. Fucking hell. Should have seen me when I came in from my toil maxing yesterday. My shorts were like dripping wet. It's fucking drenched in sweat. It's glorious. No jelly, only peanut butter. The idea that you guys have to sneak peanut butter onto the island because I've made it illegal is fucking hilarious to me. I already know that Staburu-sama has like an underground illegal fucking like production going on, cartel style. Just makes sense, like, you know. Ah, Printer-sama! You have a new identity, I see. I saw that you subscribed to me yesterday. My other account isn't working. Are you serious? The Jews finally found you? I saw that you subscribed to me yesterday. I was like, was he not subscribed to me this whole time? It actually made me laugh. I was like, what is this? You have any idea why your other one's not working? Did you notice too much? Did you see the fucking, they want you to prove that you're not an adolescent. Did you see that fucking, the ADL have made guy slop a fucking anti-Semitic slur? Like, it really is just a fucking, like, it's like a comedy at this stage. It just is. If you're taking any of it seriously by this stage, like, it's just, there's no point. And this is coming from a person who, like, fairly recently got, like, quite upset at things, like, do you know what I mean? Like, the frustration of what's going on, especially in my own country. The injustices, the betrayal, the corruption, the downright just, like, fucking demonic level evil shit. It's true, though. When you, like, you could just, it only really affects you if you have the wrong perspective or if you're in a bad mood, like. And I still have that, like, in me. I still have that tendency every now and again to just get tired and fed up and annoyed at things and frustrated and all, like, and then I'll look at some fucking, you know, racial thing or politically charged thing, like your man getting nearly decapitated in Belfast, like, do you know what I mean? And then the media saying, like, what pisses me off more than your man getting, like, nearly decapitated is what the government and the media say about it and the way they frame it and their smug moral grandstanding and all this fucking shit. And then the sea of retards that, like, you just read comments and it just, like, infuriates you because, like, some of them do seem to be, like, legitimate real people and not just bots. And the idea of people that are bottom feeding scum to that degree existing anywhere in the realm, even if they're not in my immediate vicinity, irks me. But only when I'm in a bad mood. The rest of the time, I have better things to do. I have better things to do than to be upset with the Jew. While hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, waste their time on absolute nonsense. I am growing food. Trying to, anyway. I am getting better at painting every day. I am a part of a local art collective. And I'm still alive. I have nothing to complain about. And even if I did have something to complain about, I shouldn't be complaining about it, because complaining is for fags. And women, obviously. Complaining is for females. Men do not complain. They act appropriately. Fuck me, does it get frustrating and tired after a while. Lamau guy slap his hate speech now. Yeah, I seen that earlier. I think it was earlier today. I think it was on YouTube or something. It was one of the posts on YouTube. It might have been Instagram. I'm pretty sure it was YouTube though. But yeah, the ADL has officially announced that the term guy slap is just another example of the rhetoric of white supremacy. I love how they keep openly acknowledging that, like, we're the best. Like, it is actually hilarious to be white these days. I know I'm not, like, white. I'm ginge. So, like, I'm technically half black. It's what, like, you can go either way with it. I'm either half black or I'm half demon spawn. I prefer going with demon spawn. Sounds cooler. Gives me special powers. Way less retarded. Still retain my impulse control. I'd actually sooner be associated with the genealogy of actual preternatural entities than be like half like African or something. And no, that's not because I'm racist. I'm only racist when I need to be racist. You know, when the rest of them get so racist that, like, if we're not racist, we're retarded. Like that Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf situation's fucking insane. That's doing the rounds at the moment on the internet. It was hilarious, right? Fucking completely different topic in a sense. I suppose they're all kind of connected. But when I was having my lunch earlier on, I saw these English guys on Instagram get off a bus. And like the camera's watching them get off one of them, you know, Liverpool red fucking, like the bright red buses. They get off the bus and your man starts talking to the phone or camera or whatever. And he's like, the digital age is over. Like, you know, protesting isn't going to help us and all. And, you know, walking the streets isn't good enough. And, like, we need to take action and, you know, all this, like. But he's saying that while like he's saying that to a phone that got posted on Instagram, and he drops like a link to their website and all. So in the same breath of like the digital age is over, protesting isn't going to help us. Like we need to do stuff in real life and all. Like, but but this is on my phone, and you just spoke about a website. Like, it's stuff like that where I'm just like, you fucking retards. Like, well, how else are we going to get the word out? Oh my god. That's what I was saying months ago when, like, I kind of, on one of my rants, I probably got a bit too emotional with, like, or like, shut up and do something. Like I agree with Owen Benjamin. What are you actually gonna do? Like what can you actually do about it? Like tangibly do about it? I keep fit. I try to keep healthy. I'm growing food in my garden. I try to like educate myself by like consuming as much fucking media. Well, not even media. I suppose it does count as media, but it's not like entertainment. I've been like watching a shitload of stuff on like religion and demonology and philosophy and engineering and painting. Like I'm always trying to get better at painting and all. Like, no, don't get me wrong. I still watch like fucking cryptids, horror stuff, fucking murderer interrogations. Like how to tell if somebody's lying. It's like it's the funny thing about lies. It's like sometimes it's really easy to spot a lie, and then sometimes it's incredibly difficult. Like some people are really good at it, like really fucking good at it. Guy slap, guy slap, guy slap. There. What now? Yeah, I know. Like, give it a while. Let's see what they do. Can I turn this a bit? I don't like having that gap on this side. I like when things are framed correctly. But then you can't see the fucking I don't know. Not that the chandelier is impressive or anything, but like right now you can barely see the cat. Like it's the minor movements that I have to do. It's very similar to painting. Yeah, that'll do. Reasonable racism. Yeah, like common sense racism, Like when you have a group of people fucking openly saying that like not just a group of people actually, like corporations and shit like that, colleges are saying that like whiteism, what is whiteism? What the fuck does that even mean? Whiteism should be abolished. Could you imagine if somebody turned around and said that blackism should be abolished? There'd be fucking uproar, like. But there's like I think it was Cambridge University the other day has said that they're coming out and they're gonna fucking they're basically lying through their fucking teeth to their students, but like it's gotten so bad now that they are referring to the thousands and thousands of years of Celtic and Saxon and Norse history as myths. It's just a myth. There was never a homogenous whiteness. There was never a thing. We're all black. We all come from the black. Maybe like originally, like 100,000 years ago or some shit like that, before the like ice age and shit like that, like But like, doesn't the Bock saga literally like Dan and Sven were like big fucking white dudes that came from up north past the ice, and like from them came from one of them came the Moors, because generations of living in like places like Africa and fucking Arabia and all turned white guys into black guys, which makes total sense, you know. Generations of exposure to a totally different fucking environment after living in predominantly, you know, permanent winter for generations. They then, you know, sail down from the icelands and get to places like fucking Arabia and Asia and fucking Africa and all, like. And then the other guys went over to like Europe and the Americas. And it's funny because when you go over to the Americas, like they're not like brown, they're sallow, you know, which makes it even funnier that like on the other side of the realm, the Asians are like even whiter. It's hilarious to me. Like, I will openly acknowledge that from what I've seen, you know, because I'm not fucking trying to lie about anything. Unlike these politically and ideologically driven fuckheads. But like, it's fairly obvious that the rising and falling of empires throughout the ages has caused, and then just like things like trade and exploration, have resulted in all sorts of different breeds of humans, time and time again. And then you get into like things like the slave trades and wars and empires and rising and falling, and like eugenics, you know, like. But then that, like, a lot of that would also, like, you know, if it's not just war, it's also like religion as well. And then you get like tribalism and ideology. We shouldn't breed with them, they're foreigners and all, like. But she's gorgeous, you know, like. It'd be the same when the, like, you know, the Vikings showed up and all, like. I was recently watching this thing. I don't know if I mentioned it there the other day, but I was recently watching this thing on YouTube. It was a documentary about old Irish warriors called the Gallowglass. And apparently these guys were like fucking renowned for how big and well armed and really good at fighting they were and all, like, and to the point where certain kings and nobles and stuff took the time to have them like either, you know, like like images of them would be fucking chiseled into stone around their tomb to be like, oh yeah, I had some of them lads in my army, you know. They were that good, like they were that renowned and that dangerous. That noblemen and kings saw it fit to be like, make sure you record the fact that I had some of those guys at my disposal. I was one of them niggas. We was Celts and shit. It makes a lot of sense to me though, like where you have this like, you know, it's a completely different thing when you have like in Africa, on the African continent, right? It's more of a like straight up, you know, all the Dutch colonizers, the French colonizers, and all like that. You know, kill the Boer. The Boer being basically European white guy. And then it's hilarious because they get rid of the whites, and then their fucking society just turns to shit because they don't know how to build, maintain, create, or do anything productive other than rape, steal, murder, and be like primitively tribal as fuck. At least now, Like I'm sure you could go some point back in history where they were like regal and incredibly in touch with the land and like were gilded in gold and all this fucking shit like Wakanda style. But it's definitely not the case now. You know, they're a bunch of they may as well be orcs now. Um, like when you're openly in a fucking like a packed out stadium, being like kill the boy, kill the boy, like fucking like cheering the death of the white guy. Kill the colonizers and all this like. Um, you don't really get a pass then, like, do you know what I mean? Because the hypocrisy is fucking blatantly obvious and bordering on like it goes past being funny, and then it's just like, oh, we should probably kill all of them because they're a problem. like, like the whole point of civility and nobility and honor and things like that and boundaries and borders and stuff is like if you want your lineage to go on, like no matter who you are, you can't just be going to war with everyone all the time, you know. And that's what happens with these types is like they get rid of the whites, but then they just start killing each other. Hotel Rwanda, everyone, you know, slaughtering each other because some of the blacks had slightly bigger noses. Essentially, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was been all like, I don't even think there was really a cultural difference, but like, this is the only physical, aesthetic, discernible difference from the Hutus and the Tutsis was like some of them had like wider noses, you know? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, at least when the English were killing the Irish and the Scots, it wasn't because they were a different kind of white, you know? It was because it was Christian versus pagan. It was because, it was noble versus savage. Like, there was, like, at least some kind of rationalization that one could, like, see some sense to, where, like, okay, they're dirty and stupid and they're unruly and they're tribalistic. They're backstabby. They're like low impulse control, primitive. You know, you could see their argument, like, do you know what I mean? Even though it was probably completely fucking bullshit, like, there's all sorts of fucking historical evidence from what I've seen that the Celtic nations, like, we had some serious ancient knowledge, and it's kind of obvious to see that, like, similar to like Egypt and shit. Places like Newgrange and all, they're like lined up with the stars and stuff and all, like a primitive. I mean, like even define primitive, like stupid, incompetent, basic, animalistic, I suppose, would be like. But then you can make the argument that, like, well, why is animalistic a bad thing? Because, like, animals are in tune with nature. They are a part of nature. Aren't we a part of nature? Like, it's all of this argumentation over what's right and what's wrong from the perspective of, like, politicians and ideologues. All of it is essentially nonsensical, and its sole purpose is to sow division between peoples to the point where they all kill each other, and then the third party or the middleman, i.e. the Jews, typically, benefits from such things. Want to sell weapons to both sides, that kind of thing. Like, it's sad, but it makes sense though. If you're retarded enough to let that happen, then it's your own fault. Like. It is sad though.
The fact that they have the gall to find that poor boy's grave to piss on it makes me think Fed posty things. Did they actually do that? I didn't see that. They actually fucking pissed on Austin Metcalf's grave, did they? Or is that like? Do you think that might be propaganda? Or were they arrested and charged for like desecration of a grave or like what? Pretty soon the ADL will ban all words as anti-Semitic or antiseptic. I know, yeah. Like when is it going to stop? Do you know what I mean? Like it'll get to the point where just like sighing, just going, oh, yeah, that's anti-Semitic. Like it's hilarious. Like that's the thing that I think is so funny is that like they're so maniacally, ludicrously pathetic and evil. Like they're pathetically evil. They're not like, I'm not impressed. Do you know what I mean? Like you look at someone like, you know, Hitler. Say what you want, but like they were impressive. The Nazis were impressive. You know, they did impressive shit. You can look at the stuff that the Nazis did from a certain perspective in a certain context and be like, shit, that's impressive, you know? But the stuff going on the past like 80 years, none of it's impressive. None of it. You know? It's all fake and gay. Like none of it's impressive. All the impressive stuff that's happened is like not really known. You know, like certain archaeological discoveries that are kept like hush hush because like racial tensions and political tensions and shit. Like, what would the world do if they knew the truth about this tomb and who it belongs to and what resides within? Like, do you know what I mean? Like the amount of underground places that have pools of liquid mercury in them. Like, think about that for a minute. Like the amount of shit that we got taught in school growing up and all, that would lead you to believe that, you know, oh, the people before us were quite primitive. They weren't technologically advanced, like, you know. These people who built vast underground cities, not tunnels, cities. These people who moved and shaped rock in inconceivable ways as far as we're concerned. These people who used like all sorts of minerals and materials to create all sorts of beautiful ornaments, containers of things, like ways of fermentation, ways of like, you know, keeping meat for years without any refrigeration or whatever, like, you know, ways of living that are arguably like way healthier than the shit that we do now. And it was all taught to us as if it was like, you know, oh, we're better than that now. You know? Absolute madness, like. Fences were hopped. I'm included in that. Oh, yeah, for sure. That's what I was saying is like the overwhelming evidence that there was like huge amounts of populations that were shifted in various ways. Like I'm definitely like, well, I'm not going to say definitely, but I'd put good money on, like I've said before, my DNA not being like wholly Irish or Celtic. Like I probably have some Nord, some Saxon in me or some shit like that, maybe some French. You know, I'm a little bit gay. I mean, I'm a painter. Like with a certain level of grace comes that like you know, without taking the piss, you know, obviously when I'm taking the piss it'd be like, oh, that's kind of gay or whatever, but like realistically speaking, it's like what certain cultures would consider to be feminine, you know. Oh, you gotta get in touch with your feminine side or all this shit. Like I just see it as grace. I see it as like fluidity. Because a lot of masculine, like solely masculine energy is very angular, very rigid, you know? Like spears, swords. The more graceful and feminine things are, which is hilariously ironic when you look at like the Muslim countries where like they subjugate their women, and their women are basically second class citizens and like commodities. But the men are like really gay, like in a sexual way too. Like there's an incredible amount of male on male shit, like which is it's hilariously ironic. Makes sense though, because when they deprive themselves of the feminine, they actually become it in an inverted and perverse way. It's so funny to me, you know. You must hide the female, lest I get too horny. But isn't that just an admission of your lack of impulse control, or a lack of willpower over your own faculties? You know, you haven't conquered your own flesh. That's not very. Like I thought Muhammad was supposed to be the perfect man. You know, that doesn't correlate. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't check out. It's hilariously hypocritical. It's like the amount of self-reporting that these people do is fucking hilarious to me. Like, you know, make her look like a fucking Grim Reaper, so I don't rape her. Wow, that's some serious narcissistic rationalization, you know. Which is why I get why like so many people like go for the Christian stuff, because the Christian stuff is nice. You know, Christians in a big way essentially invented chivalry, you know, to protect the feminine, to see the feminine as divine and all this shit, like, you know. Makes loads of sense. But the Christians have their own shit, you know. Christians end up being like, you know, cooks, and they miss things, and you know, they get too nice, and they get weak. Especially nowadays, you know, the whole Judeo-Christian bollocks, like, that shit's hilarious to me. You know, we need to fucking help Israel and all. Like, hold on, don't you believe that Jesus is God? Yes. Well, didn't the Jews petition the Romans to kill your God? Yes. Like, okay, make it make sense. Like, no, the Trinity. You're just making the other side whiter. Indeed, yes. And like, your kids are a shade lighter than your missus. That's what's hilarious about it. Like, you can see that they are like hybrids or half-caste, like, you know. And obviously I don't mean that in like a fucking the derogatory, like I mean it literally, like they are half of a caste, or like they're hybrids, like they're mixed, you know. Like, I've no time for all this shite that are like, oh, that's offensive. Obviously I don't think that you're going to be offended or whatever, like, by anything that I fucking say, especially at this stage. But that's what I find hilarious about all this, is like, in a lot of ways I'd be totally up for like mixing of breeds, you know. Like, look at some of the dogs you can get when you mix breeds. But it's the same in anything, like, do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people like pugs. Yeah, some of them can be cute, but they're riddled with fucking defects, and like they die young and all. Like, it's like, that's not a cool thing to do to a creature, you know, to fuck with its genetic code that much that like it becomes essentially a mutant. Like, But then you get other things like labradoodles, husky Alsatian mixes, like corgi mixes. Corgi mixes are typically really cute. I always used to say dachshunds, but apparently it's dachshunds, which makes sense because isn't that how like Vox Mox do, and the ch in German is like ach, ach. But yeah, the sausage dogs, fucking love them. They're hilarious. But there's another good one. Is like some of them have been overbred to where they're so long that their body like dips in the middle because there's such a great distance between their fucking back legs and their front legs that they get spinal problems, and like, you know, that's not cool, you know. That's right. You see a lot of this stuff that's like what would you call it? These things that people moralize are like, that's wrong and that's right and all. It's like, it's more like just positive and negative results. Positive and negative results of behaviors, you know? You look at anything like water. Water is life. Without water, you'll die. Too much water, like, you'll fuck up your kidneys and you can die. Drink the wrong kind of water and you can die or get very ill. You know, like the gun conversation, like all of these things. And that's like, in a large part, that's what's missing from our society right now. That's why I love the bear community so much. Is like, you can just have a conversation about things and people can just talk about things openly and honestly and have a sense of humor about things and have a strong enough mind and enough of a control over their emotional response to things to actually have empathy and see things from other people's perspectives, or at least attempt to, you know, which actually creates genuine diversity of thought and culture, which is just hilariously ironic. Hilariously fucking ironic. And yes, I was referring to Austin Metcalf's grave. The ones who did it took selfies and posted them. You're kidding. Oh my God. But in the age of AI, who really knows? Yeah, well, that's what I wouldn't be surprised if it's real. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did that. At all. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it turned out to be fake. Because that's kind of the point of like this like rant talk that I've kind of gone on here, is like, I've tried to, as often as possible, like the last several months, to just remind myself that the purpose of all of this is to annoy you. The purpose of all of this is to make you afraid of the other. The purpose of all of this is to just radicalize you in this negative way where you just see archetypes, you know, and like, don't get me wrong, pattern recognition is a thing. I mean, it's hilarious how accurate the fucking nose ring theory is. Like, how many times is that accurate? Like, that's hilarious. That's like an insanely good metric to judge a female by now. If she's got a fucking cattle ring, septum pierce, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can be almost 90 to 80, like 80 to 90% sure that she is a woke fuckhead, just like absolutely airheadedly retarded, like. And you'd probably be right. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, so on and so forth, like. But that's another thing in itself, is like having to put those caveats at the ends of sentences and paragraphs. Like, I don't have to. But at this stage, many of us feel obligated to, because you immediately like get that like that voice in the back of your head. It's like, oh, a lot of people are going to think I'm a bad person because I'm saying these things, which it's in itself is fucking insane. That you can't just like say something and people go, you make a point, but I disagree with you on this, this, and this. And then you're like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Like, that's a conversation. That's an actual conversation. Whatever about debating. But actually being able to have just a conversation about something without getting emotionally triggered is so fucking rare these days. And I'd say, like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that is in itself intentional as well. Because, like, one of the best ways you can learn anything, is just by talking to someone who knows something that you don't. You know? People sharing stories, people sharing information, just through word of mouth. Sitting down, having a cup of tea, talking about something. People don't do that as much these days. And if they do, they have to be, like, intoxicated or under the influence of some other kind of stimulant or some shit, or they constantly have to, like, preface things with, like, no offense, or I'm not racist, or fucking, you can't just speak. Just speak, you know? So much time is wasted these days. It's one of the things that really pisses me off about, like, you see these, you'd be watching something like Cops, you know? But it's not Cops, it's like, there's loads of them. There's loads of these, like, crime channels, you know? And you'll have four or five policemen, or, you know, women, whatever, mix. Personally, I don't think it should ever be just female police officers, because that's just, like, no crime is going to be stopped apart from, like, somebody's dog shitting in somebody's garden or some shit like that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, you're not going to stop any genuine crime with 2 female officers. Like, that's disgustingly retarded. But anyway, you'll have a situation where something's going on, whether it's shoplifting or somebody's been shot, and the amount of officers that need to get involved, you know, it's crazy. It's so disproportionate. It's incredibly inefficient. Like, the ones that really, you know, grind my gears is when somebody is being somebody is not being compliant, and it's blatantly obvious that they're under the influence, like they're, like, drunk off their fucking mind or they're on drugs or some shit like that. The officer should just have the fucking, like, especially with the body cams and all these days, you should just have the authority to tranquilize these people. Oh, but what if they fucking die? It's their own fucking fault for being that fucked up in public, where a copper, because of human rights and all this fucking bollocks, and, like, you know, it's like, and protocol and all this shit, so the fucking police department doesn't get sued by some Karen wankface, is, like, standing there for fucking half an hour trying to reason with a fuckhead who's off their face. Do you consent to this? Are you willing to do a sobriety test? You know, like, fuck it, like, just this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, when it's blatantly obvious that they're fucked out of their mind, that they should just be at least just placed in a jail cell for 24 hours to see if they come down off it and can speak sense, you know? Just fucking knock them the fuck out or immobilize them, hogtie them, put them in the back of the fucking car, put them in jail, and get back out on the beat so you can stop actual crimes. You know? It's such a fucking waste, like. I think the coverings are just to hide the beatings. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that too, where like they fuck it, like they beat the shit out of them, and they do it in public. Like they'll whip them, cane them, stone them, and all. Like, so there probably would be a lot of that. But even the fact that they turn around in their own ideology, their own religion and shit, and they're like, "Oh, the women should be covered and all." Like I was watching this thing yesterday, where like apparently a female advocate for like Muslim ideology, or like I don't know whether she was like some kind of political figure or some shit, like, but it was a female, which just makes it like even more hilarious. Um, was advocating for using white European women as imported sex slaves to stem the tide of the Arab population, the Muslim population, raping their women and having extramarital sex, you know, like adultery and shit. And it's that mentality of like, well, how do we stop the men from, you know, whether you look at it as committing crime or committing sin, you know, like being immoral, misbehaving, you know, is a really fucking, you know, tepid way to put it, like a real like lukewarm way to put it, like, how do you stop them from being degenerate pieces of shit? We'll import foreign women that they can just use as sex slaves because the foreign women are no better than animals. Like, that's genuinely what they believe. That's what they're taught. Like, and like, that's not propaganda. It's the same with the Jews. Like, the Jews will get on Twitter and be like, that's anti-Semitic. Abortion goes against our beliefs and all. Like, she was like, hold on. Sorry. Abolishing abortion goes against our beliefs. And you're like, hang on a minute. So us making it illegal to kill your baby is against your belief system? Like, what the fuck is this? And it's got nothing to do with, like, the rights of women or any of this shit. It's all that Moloch bollocks, like, you know, fucking, it is my religious right to sacrifice my firstborn to the flames of the bull. Like, shit, it's like, if I want to continue to, you know, be promiscuous and have a career and not have to worry about it, it's like, I shouldn't have to take a pill. I should be able to just get an abortion every time I get pregnant. Like, you know, why can't I use my dead children as fertilizer for my face? Who are you to tell me that I can't cannibalize my young? And the hilarious thing is, like, I know it's fucking dark, but the hilarious thing is like, they're in a certain context, they are right. Who are you to tell them that they can't do what they want to do? You know? Because what you want, like, the situation that you're actually always left with throughout history is that people do stuff and then other people do stuff as a consequence of the stuff that the first people did. All this back and forth, like, you shouldn't do that, that's wrong. You think these fucking demons are going to listen to you? Like, based on their behavior that is observable, you shall know them by their fruits. Why would you waste your breath? Why would you be like screaming and crying and protesting and all this shit, being like, that's wrong, don't do that, this is wrong, don't do that, you shouldn't be doing this, you know, like all this moral grandstanding, whatever, like, side of the fucking pulpit you're on, like, you know, it's essentially all pointless. If somebody transgresses upon what, you know, your way of being, then act accordingly. You know, consequences, like for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Like when fucking Israel is essentially like openly and unabashedly committing genocide and rationalizing it and excusing it for some, you know, whether it be political or religious reasons, like countries like Iran and fucking Russia and shit, like, should be well within their right to just level the place and turn it into glass. There shouldn't be any of this, like, international, like, you know, hubbub of, like, councils and fucking, you know, like, are we all in agreement? We're all in agreement. Okay. And then Israel's just sitting there going, no! You know, it's like every time, like, they've openly had meetings like that where it's like, how many times is Israel gonna say one thing and do another, where we all agree to the same rule set and we're all fucking getting along and we're all like living in harmony to a degree, but these fuckheads, because they literally think they're better than the rest of us, will just nod their heads and go, yeah, cool, and then go off and like kill a load of kids and then play the victim. But we had to shoot the children that were trying to get the food from the box. You know, they were going to kill us. like it's fucking crazy. Like there shouldn't be all this, like, you know, delegation and politics and talking and all. It should just be like, oh, okay, so what are we gonna do about it? You know, because nothing actually ever gets done. It's just like sanction this and warning that and like legislation this and, oh, we're bringing in a new law that nobody's gonna fucking abide by. Like, you know, like look at the example of when they put all those fucking traffic camera things for the 15-minute city style stuff in England, and then you have all the lads, the Blade Runners, running around with fucking angle grinders just cutting them down. You know, like that's a perfect microcosm of what I'm talking about, like, where it's like the ruling class, in quotes, you know, the people who claim to be in control because the people have been stupid enough to trust them with things like voting and shit, do something that nobody wants, and they know nobody wants it, but they just do it anyway. Because they're narcissistic psychopaths, like, you know, and then the people do something as a consequence. That's what needs to happen. And no, this is not me advocating for violence. So, like, anybody who fucking, like, you know, oh, this fucking painter's acting the bollocks. No, I'm not. I'm just saying the truth. Like, historically speaking, you get, like, Muslims slaughtering Christians for, like, hundreds and hundreds of years. You get the Crusades. Like, you get all this usury and fucking, you know, corruption and animal sacrifice and human sacrifice and all this fucking horrible death stuff and enslavement and blackmail and shit. You get Jesus Christ. Like, it's like, that's what happens. That's how the world works. That's how existence works, is harmony, balance, push, pull, positive, negative, up, down, as above, so below. It's really cool how it works. And it's honestly just like heartbreaking and like whatever about it being annoying and frustrating and rage inducing and fucking God knows what else, to an insane degree most of the time. Especially when you're like learning about all this stuff and you're like figuring out why things happen and who does them typically, you know. There's a long period of time where you're just like, why? Like? And you very rarely get like an answer a satisfying answer, you know, a solution, an answer that leaves you with the sense of like, oh, well, that makes sense. It's only when you look at things from the perspective of somebody like Owen or Tom Barnett or like, you know, like genuine meta thinkers, genuine like honest witnesses of reality who are like, okay, well, if we take this to be true based on this, and if this is defined as this, and this is fucking like, and you just create that like Venn diagram network of like, okay, if this, then that, if this, then that, if this, then that, logic, like, okay, well, then this will equal to this, and then this, it's chess. It just makes perfect sense. Only then do you get to a situation where you're like, okay. But you're still left with it like, but then why do people fucking like, and then you have to understand emotions. And not just like on a basic level of like, this made me sad, you know, because that's obvious to most people. But you have to understand like, you know, what the Christians and like what the religious types consider like possession and sin and all, like, and how, like energetics, and how like somebody's internal mental and emotional framework, their psychology and their like, you know, their emotions and shit, like essentially not just influence, but almost to a point most of the time dictate every single fucking action they undertake every single fucking moment of every single fucking day of their life. That's why I'll always advocate for video games at some point, to a certain point. Because I think that gives you a real world visualization, something that you can interact with. That gives you the idea of viewing yourself from outside yourself, observing your own behavior. Because like when you're sitting there in front of a video game and you're the one controlling the avatar in the digital world, it's almost a one-to-one representation. In many ways, not like literally, that's why I said almost one-to-one, but it's like a pretty good like representation of what life is. If I push this, the character moves forward. If I press this, the character jumps. Well, if I don't do it at the right sequence or the right time or the right moment or in the right way, the character is not going to clear the gap and he's going to fall to his death. So if I get angry at the game because I can't play the game and I can't finish the game, then I'm retarded because I'm the one controlling the character. Like, it's so... Is it just a frontal lobe thing? Like, I've heard that. Like, I've heard that, like, you know, that, like, people's frontal lobes just don't develop, so they're just incapable of, like, realizing shit like that. I don't necessarily believe that. I think consciousness doesn't, like, have to rely on an organ and how it operates, but maybe it does. And, you know, fucking... I mean, if your Wi-Fi router is not set up to work that way, then it's not going to receive those signals. So, like... Who knows? Somebody knows. The trash bag of femininity. I mean, could you imagine being in like a desert and you're wearing all black? I don't care if it's like silk or some shit. Like that's wild. Those bitches probably stink all the time. Maybe that's why some of the greatest perfumes and like spices and shit come from those regions of the world where they're just like covering their females in these like scented and their males, you know, like, because the men are like, you know, way hairier. Although you never know. I've seen some hairy bitches. It's brilliant when you think about it, the mass migration / foreigner killings psyop. Well, yeah, I mean, like, it's fairly apparent. I wouldn't say obvious, but it's fairly apparent at a certain level that, like, a fuckload of this is definitely orchestrated and influenced by someone. Now, whether it be like the devil himself and his hierarchy of fucking underlings and minions and shit, or whether it is just like a collection of human beings who have been doing this for millennia, like bloodlines and stuff like that. Like, is it like extraterrestrial beings? Is it another species altogether that's like preying on us and farming us? It could be all three, to a degree. You know, the truth does usually lie somewhere in the middle, and like all three could be true. You know, the like that's what you should really watch the show Colony. Really good. Makes a ton of sense. It's totally conceivable that like supernatural entities or like a creator god or gods do in fact exist in some kind of like cosmological etherical realm like beyond our comprehension or like sensory faculties. um and at the same time there are things that are far like a humanoid, or maybe it doesn't need to be humanoid. There could be an animal, a species of creature that's far more advanced than human beings, and they've essentially like farmed us the way we farm other animals like sheep and cattle and stuff. And at the same time, um, there is an insane amount of our own kin, like our own like other human beings, who assume the position of essentially doing the bidding of the first two, whether positive or negative, you know? And it makes sense that like something that big, like I was watching this thing yesterday where it was like the top 10 or top, I think it was top 10 um archaeological like digs, like tombs, that when they were found, they were deemed to be like um oh, we can't open that. We're not opening that. We're not touching that shit. Like, and like some of them were like opened briefly and then immediately locked up again and then like never spoken about and shit. Um, like they know they exist but nobody's allowed in, kind of thing. There's one of them in an Arab country. I can't remember what it was in the Middle East. The Muslims are in control of it, as far as I remember. Um, and it was basically that story where like um, they won't let any archaeological digs. They won't let any teams in. Um, every request to, yeah, I know it's really hot. I'm sitting here sweating my fucking ass off. You okay? Um, every request to perform a dig or even a scan, which makes it even more insane because like like your man in the video says, like you would understand that like if they didn't want like an ancient burial site to be disturbed or potentially damaged or destroyed by an invasive dig with like physical mechanical tools. But they even denied things like radio waves and sonics and like laser mapping and shit. They were like, no, we're not even letting you do that. Like, which gives you the impression that like they either don't want you to know what's in there, or they know. Well, that's probably both is true. It's like they know what's in there and they don't want you to know, and they know what's in there, or they don't know what's in there, but they have a good, they have a fairly good idea what's in there, and they don't want to share it, that kind of thing. Because the amount of these places that like they've like cracked open a tomb, and like the equivalent of like a fucking country's GDP is sitting in there in like rubies, emeralds, jewels, crowns, statues made out of jade, like all this fucking shit. And they just go to fucking like museums, or they get left there, or they get like plucked up by the local government and all. Like, it's like archaeology is another one that's fascinating. Like archaeology, history, um, cosmology. alchemy. Those are the things I'm into, like, you know. Obviously, I'm into other shit like fucking martial arts and art and um, engineering and fucking like carpentry and fucking God knows what. Like, you know, the list goes on. But it's like the whole idea of being like, you know, do you believe in science? I mean, it's such a retarded question. Like, are you a religious person? It's like, I don't know, like so much of human behavior and what goes on these days is so utterly detached from like the way I operate, you know, which maybe like, you know, maybe I am half fucking Nephilim or some shit. Like, maybe I just like have this like beef and cheese. Maybe I just have this like instinctual like detachment on a genetic level or something. Could also just be a dash of psychopathy from childhood trauma. You know, could just be that. I mean, I'd go with that assessment. I just feel apart from the group, you know, which personally I prefer. I don't like the idea of being a part of a hive. But anyway, it's like a forcing of violent action when no one wants it. Yeah, like it makes sense to me in the when you talk about stuff like the devil can't make you do it. You can't like Owen makes that great argument of like, if you ever try to put a 2-year-old in a car seat, like making another human being physically do something is so difficult typically, you know, unless you have overwhelming force, literally overwhelming force. It's much easier to influence the mind and influence the heart, and if you can get both, perfect, you know. So I remember saying to one of the lads at one of the meetups, it was a meetup I went to way after all of the Irish bear group stuff happened. A few of them met up in, like, I think it was in Cork, yeah. And I wanted to like get the feel for, like, you know, the stragglers who still stuck together. Far too Catholic for my liking. Far too, like, the religious overtones of like pretty much all of them. I was just like, yeah, no. The one of the things I said, because we were all talking about like what was going on at the time, and this is like 2-3 years ago at this stage. Or is it like a year ago? 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. I'm being far too generous with the size of this penis. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna make him like a Ken doll. There we go. Right. What was I saying? Oh yeah, one of the things I said around the campfire was like, it's just about sin. It's all just about sin. But I don't even mean sin in the religious sense. It's just like, if they can make you hungry, I say make, if they can influence you to be hungry, horny, scared, angry, greedy, like if they can influence you to indulge in any of the 7 deadly sins, to a certain degree, then they've got you. They've got you by the balls. And it was your use of your free will that did that. So there's, like, you can't blame anyone, you know? You are your problem. Which is why it makes so much sense that you had all these like bands No, like anarchy and punk and all, like rage against me, rage against the machine. Rage is a sin. Um, fucking like the Beatles. It's a free love. All right, so there's lust. Um, greed, like the idea, like the boomers. Where it's like really easy to just like have a 9 to 5 and like own a house, get a car, raise a family of like 5 or 6 kids, go on holiday every year, or go camping or something, like, and all you do is like work in the local supermarket. You know, you're like a manager in Costco or some shit, like, Well, would have been more like you're on a production line in a steel mill, or like you're a fucking miner or some shit, or like you're a there was a lot of steel mills. There was a lot of mines and there was a lot of mills. Lumberjack. Shit like that. You know? Just like really not easy. Obviously it's like labor intensive depending on the job. But then you also had like, the boomers that just had like an office job, you know? Fucking technology was starting to kick off, so it's like you could just be sitting at your desk answering phones and writing letters, and you could be a clerk, in some kind of warehouse or some shit like that, and you're making more than enough money to like own your own house, which relatively speaking compared to today is just absolutely wild. So that's like greed, gluttony, and sloth. Jesus, the boomers really got it bad, didn't they? 3 of them. 3 sins. And wrath as well, because it was post-war, maybe. Self-righteousness. Vanity. Fuck. Did you send me a phrase of the day today? Because if you didn't, I'm actually going to call it here, because I'm after losing probably like half a kilo in sweat right now. And I need to take my t-shirt off because my sunburn's been feeling like sandpaper all day. No, I did not. Doesn't. Oh yeah, you fucking. Yeah, you did. Okay, right. We'll do the I'll do the phrase of the day, and then I'll call it. Remember to smash that right button, like it has insulted your mother. Swine. Okay. I think, remember to striker the Riker button. I think that's better. Srash sounds kind of like, I don't know. It's also kind of hard to say, even when you're an expert in speaking Japu like I am at this stage. Right, with the help of my feathery friend Tobias Speakers Cross, we shall announce today's phrase of day.
Tiny donga, with this mighty song I send cleansing vibrations through the interwebs to cleanse you filthy mortals of your dirty, filthy cheek, and allow it to flow freely as I announce today's phrase of the day.
I do love that jingle. It's a glorious jingle. Today's phrase of the day is as follows. Nose ring theory is more proven as raw than gravity. It's hilarious because I only said that earlier on, basically, like, but it fucking is. It really is. The amount of them you see all over the fucking internet, like, and you're just like, She's got a septum piercing. She's probably a fuckhead. Like, daddy issues, fuckhead. Woke cunt, like, to a bitch. Pretty much all of them. Right. I'm gonna leave it there. I need to get semi-naked. It's fucking so hot in here. God bless. I will see you soon. Remember, be good, be true, and be beautiful. I will see you soon. And pay for painting you. Swine. Huh? Do as you're told.